Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited about today's chat for Voices of the Embodied Leader. I have Erin here. Erin is an incredible human. She's a somatic practitioner. She runs a coaching business. She's also a shaman, among so many other things. I'm so grateful to have you here. Erin, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and have this conversation with you.
Awesome. So let's just jump right in. I know that you have this wide variety of wisdom and tools that you draw from. And so maybe if you can let us know like where that journey started for you and how it's evolved to bring you to where you are now and the person that you are now who's preparing to likely become an even more aligned version of yourself.
Yeah. Oh, what a juicy and delicious question. My background is actually in physical therapy. I have a doctorate in physical therapy. Really have always been drawn to holistic healing and healing in the body. And so physical therapy felt like a really natural step for me. I loved that profession and that career. And as I was really moving up the ladders, I climbed multiple ladders as a physical therapist, ended up at the very top of two different companies in my career as a physical therapist, and realized that there was something missing in my life. I had everything on paper where I should be happy. I literally, on paper, had absolutely everything. I had the career, I had the money, I had three beautiful children, I was married, I had the house, I had the little farm. I had it all. And there was something missing for me. And for a period of time, I really felt I was ungrateful, or why couldn't I just find happiness and peace and ease in my life if I had everything? If I had everything. And the piece that was missing for me was really authenticity. And I wasn't that far off, but I was enough off that I was out of alignment. And my soul just kept calling to me, wanting me to remember who I am in my most authentic expression of me in this human experience. And when I really came back to spirituality and my roots, that was when everything clicked for me. So for me, as a small child, I was very aware of my mediumship capabilities. Starting my first real vivid memories of mediumship were when I was between 4 and 5 years old.
Mhm.
And that was a part of me that was very authentic and aligned. And as I moved through my human experience, I had experiences around mediumship that led me into this story that I wouldn't be understood, I wouldn't be accepted if I embodied and embraced these expressions of me. And so when I was working as a physical therapist and at the top of my career in physical therapy, that piece that was missing was mediumship, was spirituality. And so when I really came back to that and I leaned into that very authentic expression of me, I took a deep dive into all things spiritually based. I started a multi-year Druid program. I went through Reiki 1, 2, and Master. I took a shamanic apprenticeship. I went through a death doula certification. I went through spiritual coaching certification. I did all the things. I'm somebody who jumps in with both feet when I jump, and I love to really go deep on these things.
Mhm.
And when I leaned into that expression of me, everything in my life came into alignment. And I will say the transition from my career as a physical therapist to owning my own business and really embodying who I am in my most authentic expression. And I know I'm only going to get closer and deeper into my authenticity and my uniqueness. That was a messy phase of life, and there was so much beauty in that messiness of working through the subconscious blocks and unlearning that which I had learned, which had been put on me, that which I had taken from family of origin and societal norms and school and society. And when I unlearned those things and really started to say, "This is who I am. and became unapologetic about it, everything clicked.
Mm,
Everything clicked in my life. And that was when I realized this is living. This is the human experience. This is it.
yep.
And it was such a beautiful journey and continues to be a beautiful journey.
Thank you for sharing. I love your way of describing things. And I know a lot of the words that you're using, they really just automatically bring us back into the body, even just listening to you speak and talking about alignment and just simple words like it clicked. There's like this somatic resonance there that, and if you're not paying attention or you're not noticing it, you miss out sometimes on those moments where there's that shift or something happens that just slightly changes, but can change everything when you notice. I love that you have this like wealth of experience and knowledge and wisdom that you've drawn on. Is there one piece of all of those experiences that personally has helped you the most? Like, all of the things that you've done, is there one piece of that medicine or one piece of that magic that you practiced with yourself that was, like, the biggest catalyst to you being able to show up unapologetically and continue to discover who you are?
Yeah. Ooh, what a good question. I would say that learning to carve out time to be present with myself and asking myself the question, why am I experiencing this? Was really life changing. And I asked myself that question 1,000 times a day. It's like my favorite go to question when things are going really smoothly. Why am I experiencing this? Right? The recognition, because it gives me the opportunity to reflect and say, I'm experiencing this because I said yes to myself.
Mhm.
I'm experiencing this because I followed that which didn't make sense on paper, and I allowed myself to believe in possibility, and I allowed myself to trust myself. And simultaneously, when things are uncomfortable, or there's a struggle, or there's resistance, asking myself that same question, why am I experiencing this?
Mhm.
Whether it's a dynamic, an interaction, a situation, gives me the opportunity to say, oh, this isn't aligned. The more aligned version of me wouldn't be saying yes to this or would be saying no and or would be leaning into just slightly over here.
Mm,
And so this uncomfortableness or this resistance or this static or this unsettledness is only here to help me get back in deeper alignment. And so that question for me is one of my favorite questions. I ask it to myself all the time. I ask it to my clients all the time. It's something that I coach and teach about in all of my courses. Really, that question was life changing for me.
yeah, I can see why, especially when you're asking yourself that question, like, repeatedly, allowing yourself to consistently come back over and over again. Oh gosh, there's this real truth in it that I think a lot of people probably experience, and I wonder if you did too in this journey of asking yourself this question, is then we have to be, like, honest with ourselves, and when we're honest with ourselves, we need to address the situation, we need to address the misalignment. It's one of those things, like, if I don't know about it, I don't have to fix it or admit that it was wrong. Can you share a little bit about that and how I'm sure you went from having those type of experiences to more, like, immediate knowing of, "Oh, no, that's gonna be a no," or "That's I wanna move in this direction." And just share with us that piece for you because I think it's alive and well in so many, like, "I don't wanna see it because then I have to do something about it." So that question is scary.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's like building a muscle, right? In the beginning, it's difficult and we just get better and better at it. The more that we do it, we build confidence in our capability to be brutally honest with ourselves. And I'm a huge believer that our ability to grow and our ability to heal is directly proportional to how much truth we can take about ourselves. And my desire to grow and to heal as a human in this human experience in all aspects of my life, right? In parenting, in finances, in business, in physical health and wellness, in emotional health and wellness, in psychosocial health and wellness. My desire to grow and to heal, when I really paused and asked myself, my desire was greater than my fear of the discomfort. But I needed to learn that there was no emotion that I could feel that I wouldn't be able to handle. And I didn't understand this in the beginning of my journey, that I was actually afraid of these emotions. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. Right? They were going to
Mhm.
swallow and I would disappear. I don't know. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. But it was like if I just allow myself to feel inadequacy in its fullest expression of what I am experiencing, that emotion has, what did I think was going to happen? But when I allowed myself to really just feel inadequate fully, like however much inadequacy I was feeling, to really allow myself to feel it, not just think it, feel it in my body. I moved through it. On the other side of feeling it, there was clarity, there was direction,
Right.
there was authenticity, there was uniqueness. And so when I really started playing in that space of my growth was directly proportional to the amount of truth I could take about myself, I started to say, there's nothing I can't take about myself. And something really magically, it's so freeing. It's like magical freedom for me in that space of, if you can see this about yourself, whatever it is, whatever the thing is that feels like it's scary to see. We'll use a simple example. You don't drink enough water in a day, right? If I know that about myself, then I am unafraid of somebody else saying that about me. What are you
Mm.
gonna say that I don't already know about myself? And if you do, thank you. I so appreciate you for mirroring something back that is in my blind spot. But when we can take a massive amount of truth about ourselves, sometimes I can be a bitch. Yeah, I know that about myself, right? Yeah, I know that about myself. Sometimes I can be catty. Yeah, I know that about myself, right? So when someone else says it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm being catty right now. That's true. Why am I being catty? Why am I experiencing this?
Right back around. Why am I experiencing
Exactly.
this? Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
am I experiencing this? And then if I'm being catty about something, and then I'm like, oh, I might be jealous or envious. And then I say, why am I experiencing that? Oh, there is an expression of me that I'm not allowing to be expressed, and I can see it in you. And it's like my golden shadow, right? I can see it in you. And so I'm envious. And so I'm being catty. And I can waste my energy being catty, or I can lean into what I can see in you that I wish I could express in me.
Oh my gosh, queen. That is such a beautiful piece. That is, guys, rewind, listen to that again. That's so beautiful and so potent. There's two things that you said that I specifically would like to dive into more. One is, just for those who are watching, we'll talk about that difference of, because you said not just thinking it, but feeling it. If there's certain thing is happening, the difference between thinking it and feeling it, and how that the integration doesn't really take place until the feeling starts to happen. I want to touch on that. And there was one other thing I want to touch on. Let me see if I can pull it up. Otherwise, I'll forget it. It's the golden shadow. It's the golden shadow. That has been such a thing in my own life of coming up against and seeing and having mirrored back and accepting. So let's start with that piece of, it's more than just thinking it's there. You're cognitive of it. You can understand it and rationalize it. But it was like you said, it wasn't until I could feel it. Can you describe that and share a little bit more about that process, and that process for you of going from the mind into the body?
Yeah. And I just want to kind of back up, and I'll simply talk about myself. And for those who this may resonate with or apply, they can draw whatever connections they desire in that. But for me, I experienced body based trauma as a child. And in that, I learned to disassociate from my body. And it was multifaceted, right? There was the experiences of sexual trauma as a child. that were really overwhelming in the body. And so I learned to disassociate to my mind. So I learned to spend more time in mind than in body. And then simultaneously, through my family of origin, who are great and I love them. Did I have a perfect childhood? No. Did I have a lovely one? Yes. Was I loved? Yes, absolutely. I would not trade my childhood for anything. Through my family of origin, through cultural norms, through societal norms, I was praised when I excelled cognitively, cerebrally. And I did that. I played that game. I graduated at the upper end of my class in high school, in undergrad and grad. I graduated top of my class, upper part of my class. In my doctorate, I finished with a 4.0. Like, I knew how to play that game and I'm really good at it. That was where I created a sense of self-worth and really rooted self-worth that I was good and
Mhm.
that I was doing okay in life. And so I spent a lot of time in my mind. And I would have told you hands down that I was feeling my feelings. And
Mhm.
it wasn't until I realized that I was thinking my feelings and
Mhm.
not feeling them. And when I learned to come into the body, which is ironic as a physical therapist,
Mhm.
that there was such a disassociation. And I do believe that our trauma oftentimes is connected to our life purpose. So, body based trauma for me simply led me into healing in the body.
Mhm.
And that's where it was always meant to be. So, being able to recognize my truth, which doesn't have to be anyone else's, is that I'm a soul having a human experience. And I believe wholeheartedly that there are certain things that I agree to experience as a soul during this human experience that would put me in a place where I was able to work on the things that I wanted to work on in this life. So I don't carry any sort of resentment or anger about the trauma. That doesn't mean that I didn't have to feel it and have the very human experience, right? That's the 30,000 foot zoomed out view. I also had to come in and feel it as a human. But when I learned to move from a mind based place to a body based place and recognize that every thought has a feeling inside the body, it shows up in the body. Every emotion shows up in the body. We don't actually experience them separately. It's a multifaceted experience. The human experience is a multifaceted experience. And I was missing so much of the human experience because I was in my mind. And when I learned to come into an embodied place and come into the body and feel things in the body, not only did I move through them much more rapidly because I
Mhm.
was actually experiencing them and getting to the lesson and the wisdom and the medicine of whatever it was that I was feeling, it also just made so much more sense. So, me moving from a mind based place into a body based place and feeling my thought patterns, feeling my feelings, the sensations that are happening inside of the body. They're not there for no reason. Yeah, that is a whole part of the experience. And so really learning how to feel life.
Mhm.
And not just the quote unquote negative things. I don't really like the word negative and positive because I think they're just experiences that we're having. And we as humans decide that we do or do not like particular experiences and put a label of good or bad. But it's if I'm at the ocean and I am just having a fabulous time, but I'm not having a fabulous time in my body, I haven't stopped and felt the expansion in my heart and the ease in my stomach and the ease in my shoulders and the openness and the airiness, then I'm not really experiencing being at the ocean. And it would yeah, we miss out on the uncomfortableness in body if we were to just have a mind-based experience with something that might be quote unquote negative. If I'm feeling shame or if I'm feeling guilt or I'm feeling sad. Yeah, those sensations are not always comfortable in the body. But if I'm making the choice to move through life in a cognitive way or cerebral way versus an embodied way, I'm missing out on the potency of the medicine of those quote unquote negative experiences that are, I'm only experiencing them if I ask myself, why am I experiencing them? It's
Mhm.
to help me come into deeper alignment with the uniqueness of who I am,
Mhm.
of the authenticity of who I am. I'm also missing out on all the joy and the fabulousness that happens in my body.
Ah.
There's so much beauty in the body. And so it's like that disassociated state that so many of us move through the human experience with. Sure, we are experiencing less of the quote unquote negative, but we're missing out on the quote unquote positive as
Mm,
well.
mm.
And
Or
it's layered
mm,
because like if we're missing out on this quote unquote negative experience, we are also missing out on the medicine of the negative experience bringing us into something that feels better, that feels aligned, that feels fulfilling. Right.
yeah, yes, please. This is why we're all here. This is what we wanna do. We want to feel fulfilled. We want to feel good. And there is such a difference between, "Yeah, I'm good," and I'm good. It's a whole different experience, and I love that you brought up the point of a lot of people go right to the discomfort, and it's, "Oh, yeah, I'm not feeling my feelings. I've gotta let myself get uncomfortable." But oftentimes those good feelings or those positive feelings are also uncomfortable, and a lot of
Yes.
people miss that point of, yeah, feel the discomfort around this positive expression of yourself is how you're gonna, like, bring it alive, how you're gonna ignite that thread within you to start weaving a new fabric, basically. And that it ties into the golden shadow of, oh my gosh, the golden parts of ourselves, the parts that people like they're like attracted to, or sometimes those parts, oftentimes those parts are uncomfortable for us to admit feel really good when we're in that space of full expression. I would love, can you share with everyone, in case someone's, what are you talking about with the golden shadow? Like, I thought shadow work was like the unseen, the nitty gritty, the like dark and the heavy. How would you describe the golden shadow just for our viewers who are like, what is that? I want to know more.
So for me, the golden shadow is something that I recognize in someone or a dynamic or a situation that I might feel drawn to and think that it's about them. So if I'm really drawn to your creative self expression through art, I might put the label of jealous or envious on that, right? I'm jealous of her creative self expression through art. That is just the part of me that wants to self express through art. And I'm recognizing it in you, but it's a piece of me that I just haven't allowed to express itself. And so for me, when I look at somebody and I'm putting them on a pedestal, or I'm envious of something, or I'm excited by something in their reality, their energy field, the way that they show up and move through the human experience, it's when I can start seeing it as, oh, there's a piece of me that I'm seeing in them that I just haven't allowed to express it. And I get really excited when those emotions come up because I'm like, ooh, here's a part of me that wants to come out.
Yeah.
How do I get in deeper contact with that part of me so that I can allow it to express itself and
Yeah.
embody it?
Yes. Oh, babe, like you, okay, I'll share this little story of you doing exactly that for me. Okay. So
Mm,
we've been in each other's field for I think a little over a year now, connecting online, of course, and through that lens of life, right? The online world is just a lens into a part of someone's life. And I just love your ability to just pump out epic content. And epic content that, like, it's on point, it represents what you do and who you are, and it shows up in a way that I can feel the alignment. I'm like, "Yeah, man, she fucking knows herself, and she's showing up, and she knows what she does." And it was the YouTube channel, and I was like, "Man, this woman, she, like, pumps out all this epic content. Who is her team?" And I know it's you and your husband that work together, right? But I'm like, "Man, like, how does she do it? I'm jealous. I want a YouTube channel that is pumping out awesome content."
here
And I was
you are.
right? That was a part of myself, and I went through those exact motions of being like, "Oh, every time I see you express and put out content," specifically on the YouTube for some reason, because that was always a part of me that was like, "I really wanna do this, but there's no way that I can keep up with it." That was always my belief. And then I would see you pumping out these epic videos and just, like, much like myself, you're multifaceted and you have this beautiful way of maintaining that, like, multifaceted vibe of who you are without, like, niching down or branding or putting yourself in a box. And there was so much about that expression that I was just like, oh, I want that for myself. And sitting with that, it was like, oh my gosh, this is a part of me that is just like wanting so badly to come online, wanting so badly to be seen as. I want someone to look at my content and be like, wow, she is just fully embodying her fucking shape shifting, multifaceted life and she's killing it. And this is literally where we are right now. That is like one of the main reasons why I reached out to you specifically, because I was like, if I hadn't witnessed your devotion and expression in the way that I did, this might not have happened. Like, true hands down, I might have still been like, "Yeah, that's a desire I'm not ready for, I won't be able to keep up with, or it's not gonna be the same as other epic it's no, that's a part of me that wants to be expressed, so thank you. Thank you for that, and just for fucking owning your own light and your own expression, because it truly does allow other people to find that golden shadow, to find that piece of themselves and work with it in a new way. Oh, yeah, I just wanna sit with that one for a second. Share that. So alive.
I love that. And I love, love, love that you're doing it in your unique way.
Mm.
Sometimes I will watch people witness a golden shadow in someone else, right? And then they think they need to copy it and do it the exact same way. And it's no, because the unique way that I do it and the unique way that you do it are going to be different. And that's how it's meant to be. And if you had tried to do it the way that I do it or someone else did it,
Mhm.
then it would be aligned and it wouldn't be easy and it wouldn't feel like flow and it wouldn't feel delicious. It would
Yeah,
feel like work. It would feel heavy. It would feel right. And that heaviness would just be trying to get you to do it the way that you're meant to do it.
absolutely, and I can literally pinpoint moments in my life where it was like, that heaviness, and almost I can't even say almost, I wanna say 99.9999% of the time, it's because I was showing this is literally what it was, showing up for other people, doing it their way, in their timeline, for their vision, and completely abandoning myself. It was like I was afraid to be abandoned, so I was like but abandoning myself in that process, and every time I would get, "Oh, man, I'm heavy, this is hard, I don't wanna show up for this anymore," and that's just like now when those moments, which are much more far and few between, it's so much easier to be like, "Oh, wait a minute," just like you said, it's like that muscle. "Oh, wait a minute. Do I actually wanna go down this road?
Yeah.
Do I actually is this an urge or is this urgency? Am I being pushed or am I being pulled?" And that's one of the
Yes.
questions that I ask myself a lot, 'cause if I'm being, like, pulled, then that feels good. But if it's, "Ugh, someone's, like, pushing me to do it or get it done or whatever," it's a whole different like, I just wanna collapse, dim
Yeah.
myself out, and I'm just like I wonder if you
Yeah.
could share, like, if someone's out there and they're like, "Oh, okay, maybe that's why I feel XYZ whenever I see that person express in that way, or whenever that person pops up some content, I feel this sort of way." What is this something that they can do in the moment to start to soften the edges to recognize the part of themselves that actually wants to be expressed?
Yeah, and for me, that's about carving out moments of silence multiple times throughout my day. So if I were online and I had that sensation, that emotion that bubbled up with somebody like, oh, there's the golden shadow.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm feeling jealous, or oh, I'm feeling envious, or whatever it is. Taking a moment. And sometimes it's literally 90 seconds. That's all it takes of coming back to myself and feeling inside of my body when I see this woman's content. This is what happens in my body, and just coming in and feeling it. Why am I experiencing this right now? And I feel it in the body. And then it's because that's what my heart desires. That's what feels aligned because that's what my soul wants. And I don't want to do it the way she's doing it, but it's really close. And so I'm recognizing it. And then asking myself, what needs to change internally and externally for me to make that happen? Times it's a self limiting belief.
Yeah.
And that's all that needs to change.
Yep.
And the external then becomes really easy. I'm a huge believer that what we oftentimes think is an external block is really just an internal, emotional, or energetic block. And when we can start asking ourselves these questions and saying, what needs to change in me in order for me to move this thing forward that I'm recognizing is aligned,
Mm.
is authentic? And then saying, "Well, I have a story that creating a YouTube channel and having content that comes out in whatever frequency would be hard. It would compromise my work life balance, or it would feel like a ball and chain.
Mhm.
But it gets to be easy. It
Off
gets to.
gets to.
And
Yeah.
and so looking at that belief and saying, where is that rooted? Where did that come from? What is my lived human experience that is leading me to this belief system?
Mhm.
And
Mm.
oftentimes it's that we are trying to do it like someone else told us we should.
Yeah. That word should is like such a powerful word to recognize in the narrative, in the inner dialogue, in the like human experience that you're in. That word should is so informative. I know for myself, there's two expressions of should, and it's that should of, oh, I should do it this way because that's how people do it, or I should do it this way because that's what people are expecting. And it literally feels like this. Like, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I should do that. And then there's this other should, and it took me time to differentiate this. And it comes in as a should, and it had to really discern because I was like, "Oh, there's something about this should." And it's like the spoken word of source, and it comes right at my back, and it's like, "You should do this." And it's not, "You should send that email. You should do that." It's, "You should go roll in the grass. You should put your feet in the water." Oh, I just got goosebumps everywhere because it's like there is a should inside of you that is wise and is leading you to a different place than this should, than you should. And it rises right up through the back of my spine. And when I have that should, I do everything I can to just drop whatever I'm doing and go follow that nudge. Go roll. It's often roll in the grass, hug the tree, put your feet in the creek. It's often connecting with nature, that other should. And I remember going through a period of time where I was like, I don't want it to be should because that makes it feel like you should do this. And so I really started to connect, and that's a different should, and it's more of this like gentle, like knowing. So I love that
Yeah.
I don't know where that kind of evolved from, but it just felt like a juicy piece to throw out there. Do you have any, do you have, I'm curious if there's any like duality in the should, or maybe even some other word or expression for you that had that same, you had to discern.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really for me came down to if it felt like it was coming from inside of me, a calling from inside of me versus outside of me. And anytime the should is from the outside, I look at why? Why am I hearing this? What is the trauma or what is the dynamic that has led me into wanting to listen to the should that's outside of me and really learning how to listen to the should from inside of me. And when it similar to you, when it comes from within me and there is a body felt sensation, and for me, it's very similar. It comes up and out my body, and it very much feels like it pulls me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when that comes, that for me is alignment. That for me is a fuck yes. That
Mm.
for me is spirit or source or the universe or God, however it is that you say that for me, they're the same speaking directly to me. And it's not gonna sound like it would sound for anybody else because this is not a conference call, right? The universe is not on a conference call. The universe is talking directly to you. And
Mhm.
so it's going to come through you. And really learning to listen to that coming through me versus outside of me.
I just want to invite anybody who's out there listening to just take a moment, just right now, and just feel into that dual energy of something that's coming in versus something that's moving through. And if you are doing that, to just really notice, start to notice. Erin mentioned a few times that pausing, taking a break is really, and it's been such a key for myself too, having the permission to slow down and pause and just notice those subtle shifts. They really they make such a big difference in the overall expression of becoming. So if you're out there, do it. Take some time and
Yeah.
feel into that difference because it's there. It's absolutely there. So, what's going on in your world right now, Erin? What do you have going on? This episode's going to be going out in the summer, so things may have slightly shifted, but what's going on right now? What's alive and growing and blooming in your world?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. So this summer we have a virtual healing expo in June, which this episode may have the virtual healing expo may have already come out. And we have a trauma and healing addiction course. I believe wholeheartedly that everyone has addiction and that it is rooted in trauma, right? Addiction is simply a behavior that we engage with. Sometimes that involves a substance, sometimes it doesn't, right? So we could be addicted to work, we could be addicted to exercise, we could be addicted to orgasms, we could be addicted to purchasing things, we could be addicted to wine or other substances, right? It's simply a way for us to temporarily ease the pain that we are experiencing connected to trauma. And so addiction is not the problem. The trauma is. And so we have a course coming out really rooted in a somatic approach to healing trauma that is behind addiction. And then in July, we start a manifesting course called Discovering Infinite Possibilities. And it is one of my favorite courses. I love, love, love running this course. And it's really about becoming a frequency and vibrational match for our desires and how to be in the frequency that allows those things to manifest in our life easily and naturally. And then in the fall, we will run another round of somatic certification training.
So juicy. I want it all. Oh, man. I want to just take an opportunity right now to just thank you for creating the Somatics to Overcome Addiction course. I'm yeah, I can even in my mind right now, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I know some people that I wanna share that with." And like you said, everybody has this inside. Everybody has this tendency or behavior, and however it shows up is different, but it's so true that I've always looked at addiction like it's the absence of connection because you're connecting with something.
Yes.
Like the absence of real human connection gets substituted with a substance or a purchase or a feeling, right? That's another big one. One of the other conversations we had or I had was someone who had experienced actually becoming addicted to the cathartic releases of a somatic experience, right? So, just much like the orgasm, I'll take a couple months of being addicted to orgasms, but the truth is that it's replacing connection. So, I just like a really deep, heartfelt thank you for doing that. I, yeah, just really feel called to express gratitude around that one. And you have a certification that you mentioned in the fall. So what does this prepare people for? The people that are coming in to this certification, what is it that they're leaving with? That yeah.
Yeah. So we run a somatic training for people who are just looking to do it for themselves. And it's called Self Healing with Somatics. It's a 30-day program. There is a daily practice built into it. And the intention is to teach people how to heal themselves through somatics. And somatics simply means in relation to the body versus in relation to the mind. And it's really focused on nervous system regulation and healing trauma. And then the somatic certification training is a longer, more involved training. So it's a 2-month training and it is intended for individuals who either want to take a deeper dive, because sometimes people are like, yeah, that 30-day program was amazing. And I know that there's more.
Sure.
So sometimes I have people take the somatic certification training who do not want to practice as a somatic practitioner, but they want to understand themselves and their nervous system much more deeply.
Mhm.
And then other individuals come in who maybe they're already in the healing realm. Maybe they're already in a holistic kind of approach to a career. and they're wanting to offer somatic healing sessions. And so when people walk out of the somatic certification training, they're walking out with the capability to facilitate someone else in a somatic healing session. I have obviously a doctorate in physical therapy. I have a level 2 somatic certification through Somastery. I went through Embodied Labs somatic CBT certification training, and I'm in Somatic Experiencing International. So I love everything body related, somatic related. I get nuggets of goodness from absolutely every training that I go through and just love it. I adore it. So that somatic certification training is really intended to support individuals who want to make this their life, who recognize that this is somehow connected to their purpose.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. What a great lineup. What juicy offerings. I'm going to make sure that all of those links that are relevant and ways of connecting with Erin will be in the description of this video so that you can easily get into her world. She's got a great Facebook group too, which is a nice little first step into her world and what she's got going on. And there's always so much beauty coming out of your world. I just love watching. I just love watching and witnessing you. So thank you. Thank you for being here and chatting with me today, Erin. I want to leave our viewers with just one last, there was like one truth or one piece that you could leave with everyone. What would that be?
I think that when we get to the end of the human experience, we are never going to regret picking ourselves. We're never going to regret it.
Mm,
And so just really asking yourself, what would picking me look like today or in this moment or in this decision, right? Sometimes that question feels really big and it can be really big, but it can also be, what would picking myself look like for lunch, right? What is the lunch that I would want to pick if I were picking me? Or how would I respond to this invitation if I were picking me?
beautiful, beautiful piece. Guys, pick yourself. Pick yourself today. Find a way to pick yourself. Thank you so much, Erin. So lovely to have you here and to share this space with you. I really appreciated you, and this conversation's been wonderful. Thank you.
I appreciate the space that you have created here. And I know that the medicine that you bring in from lots of different people is so potent. And I appreciate you having this space for people to show up and be able to self reflect and see mirrors and experience different forms of medicine and heal. So thank you. And thank you for having me.
My pleasure.